We're now going to talk to Bill McKibben. He is an author and an environmentalist. He's written over a dozen books on the environment, including The End of Nature and now Earth, Making a Life on a Tough New Planet. But more importantly, right now, he is the leader of the Pipeline XL protest in front of the White House. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Hey, what a pleasure to be with you.
So, Bill, tell us about these protests that you've been putting together in front of the White House.
Somewhat unexpectedly to us, this has turned into the biggest nonviolent civil disobedience action in the environmental movement in a generation, and really in any movement in a very long time. As of today, there have been 843 people arrested in front of the White House. We've got 2 more days of it to go, and in fact, if I sound a little strange in a minute, it's because I'm climbing into a cab to get back down to the training session for tonight's arrestees, and it's the biggest group we've seen yet. So this thing just continues to build, people from all 50 states, all ages.
Right. You know, it's a little funny that it's, hey, let's all get together and get arrested tonight. You know, but it's obvious for a good cause. Bill, how many times have you been arrested so far?
Well, only once. It's one to a customer. And here's what's going on. There's this, pipeline that's going to run out of the tar sands of Alberta down to Texas if the Obama administration approves it. And that tar sands is the second biggest pool of carbon on Earth. Jim Hansen at NASA, our most important climatologist, said recently that if it was heavily exploited, it would be essentially game over for the climate. There's just too much carbon up in that oil. And the good news is, this one we might actually be able to stop because Congress isn't in the way. Barack Obama will get to make the call all by himself, whether or not to grant permission for this thing or not. And so I think that's why people have been turning up in such record numbers outside his house. It's weird. It's less a kind of outraged protest than sort of halfway a kind of show of support for him to sort of do the things he said he was going to do when he was running for president. When he said, the night he was nominated, in my presidency, the rise of the oceans will begin to slow and the planet will begin to heal.
You know, Bill, it's funny. I forget sometimes that the White House is where President Obama literally lives. That's his house. So basically,
house.
Yeah, you said,
I'm coming to your house.
Exactly.
I'm coming to your
We're
house.
On his doorstep.
Right.
Exactly right.
But Bill, look, I couldn't be more proud of you guys for actually taking action here. And I think that you make a great point in highlighting that President Obama is solely responsible for this decision. But I got bad news for you. There's no way he's going to go and stop this pipeline. It's Barack Obama. It's inconceivable. The Republicans would yell at him. Did you think about that?
I mean, that's in this case a little bit less of a problem than some of because they don't. I mean, they might yell at him, but he's a little bit insulated because they can't do anything about it. And indeed, one piece of good news from yesterday, which I think raised our odds a little bit anyway, was that the Republican governor of Nebraska, where this pipeline is going to go right through, asked the president not to sign the thing, to block the bill. He said he didn't want it. It was too dangerous going across his state, which indeed it is because they're routing this thing for reasons known only to them across the top of the Guala Aquifer, the most important source of drinking water in the interior of the continent. So, I mean, it's crazy on many levels.
So, Bill, that is good news because, President Obama, in my experience, will listen to a Republican only 1 million times more than he'll listen to any progressives. In fact, they're coming for you right there, apparently. I know the State Department already said that it was past their environmental standards, which was a nice joke. But other than the problem with climate change, what's the issue with the pipeline in terms of spills, and that leads to the concern that the governor has in Nebraska?
Sure. Well, the precursor pipeline to this, a little version of it, managed to leak 12 times in the last 12 months. That gives you some idea of what one can expect. And given the country they're running it over, I mean, we're talking about the chances for a kind of terrestrial version of the BP thing. Not a good setup.
Yeah, and my understanding is that it spills, basically, the shorter pipelines they have because of the nature of the tar sands oil, at a rate of about 16 times regular oil transmitted in the same pipes. So
this stuff's really corrosive. It's not like nice, this is not like up from the ground comes the bubble and crude,
Right.
This is bad stuff.
It's acidic, it's corrosive, and it's...
yeah, it's got a lot of sand mixed into it. You have to burn a lot of natural gas underground even to make this stuff flow, so it has a huge carbon footprint even to begin with.
Right, it's basically oil on steroids. Now, having said that, Bill, again, I want to get realistic here. Canada is going to make a ton of money from this. There's no way they're not going to do it, and they already are taking it out. So, some people will say, I think, somewhat legitimately, hey, look, either the pipeline is going to go through us or it's going to go through somewhere else, and they're going to sell that oil either way.
So they're taking out a little bit now, but, they're like sipping with a straw. They want to put in this big pipeline so they can take a lot out. Eventually, they probably could figure out some other route to put a pipeline through, but it's not going to be easy. They've tried going west through Canada, but all the First Nations people, what they call indigenous people in Canada, who have more legal power than they do in this country, have completely successfully blocked that whole undertaking. That pipeline's been tied up for years, and no one thinks it's going anywhere soon. So the energy minister in Alberta said last week, if we don't get Keystone XL, then we're landlocked in oil up here in Alberta.
I hear you. So let's let's talk about the end game here, because at some point, they're landlocked, but the lawsuits, this, that, the other thing, it'll work, right? Because if there's money to be made, they're going to make that money. And there's 175 billion barrels of oil up there. So,
at some point, they'll try to get it out. But here's the thing. At some point, you've got to hope this planet's going to wake up to what's going on with climate change, and we're just going to stop doing this kind of stuff. So if we can stop them for 10 years, then we have some chance.
So, Bill, that's what I was going to ask you about. That's what I was going to ask you about. Is that the plan, to delay them long enough that, that there is some sort of recognition, whether it's in the U.S., Canada, everywhere else, that, whoa, we got to stop doing this, and we got to get a different form of energy. So forget those tar sands. As much money as we might have made in the old days from it, we realize now that that's just not tenable.
Here's the analogy, okay? 25 years ago, everybody in the world figured out that Brazil had this unique biological treasure, the rainforest, right? And everybody decided they were going to count on Brazil to safeguard it somehow. And oddly enough, Brazil has been able to do that. Strangely enough, they've done the job. Not perfectly, but they've lowered their carbon emissions more than any country on Earth because they've stopped deforestation there. Now, it turns out that North America has a unique geological treasure, these huge, second biggest pool of carbon on Earth. Why do we get a pass from, having to safeguard it, especially since, compared to the Brazilians, we're rich,
Right. Yeah, well, it's a fair point, and I understand that, but apparently they probably have a better system of government than we do. But, to be fair, of course, this is Canada, and Canada's system is also a little bit better than the U.S. Well,
I'm afraid that really at the moment the answer to your question is that this system is corrupted by the money of the oil industry. And so we've had to try to find a different currency to work in. And for the last 2 weeks, that currency's been our bodies on the line. And it hasn't, I don't know if we're going to win this thing, but we've definitely changed the odds at least a little bit.
All right, Bill, let me ask you a totally different question. I got you on that, and I think you guys have done an amazing job of bringing attention to it. And by the way, Bill's grassroots climate campaign group is 350.org, 350.org. So if the president came to you and said, all right, Bill, stop getting arrested in front of my sidewalk. Come on in. Let's talk this thing through. And he said, look, the U.S. uses 7 billion barrels of oil every year. They got 175 billion barrels there up in Canada. I'm not going to let that go to China. I'm going to bring that here. It's going to create jobs. We need the oil. We need the economy to do better, et cetera. So that's not going to happen. But I'll make a deal with you. We will require them to make this thing a ton safer, right? These spills are out of control, and I'm not going to have it. So it's going to cost them a lot more money, but that's the money they're going to have to pay to be able to transport the oil because these spills are unacceptable. Would you take that deal?
No, because the problem's the carbon, and the other problem is that, that's not the way to healthy economy in this country. It's not going to. It'll create a few jobs while you build the pipeline. The State Department says 3,000 or 4,000, but the price is that you delay for another generation the job-rich transition to where everybody knows we need to go. A renewable energy future. Think of the jobs that are waiting there to be had if we can ever shake loose the grip of the oil companies.
Do you think that if President Obama wanted to, and obviously here you're doing a great job of pointing out that this is totally Obama's decision. This is not, doesn't have anything to do with anybody else, right? Along similar lines, if President Obama wanted to launch an enormous alternative energy plan, okay, now again, then he has to get funding. It's not just his prerogative, but it is his prerogative on whether to introduce it or not, right?
He can try, and he should be trying. And one of the reasons that we don't try as hard as we should is because we're just altogether too good at going and finding the next supply, It's like if you're an alcoholic and you've just about drained one bar dry, you have two choices. One, you can sober up, and the other, you can start looking for a different bar room, and that's what we're doing right now, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and Bill, so last question for you, because I'm trying to learn from you, right? So if you were president and you wanted to, make a difference here, obviously you wouldn't do the pipeline, but what would be your specific proposal to get that alternative energy going?
Well, I just came back, for instance, from China, doing a piece for the National Geographic about green energy in China. So let's talk about the first easy, sensible thing you could do. Forget for the moment solar photovoltaic cells and things. Those are a little expensive still for many people in many places. Think about solar hot water. It's a pretty simple technology. In fact, it was installed in the White House in 1978 and worked just fine until Ronald Reagan took it down in 1985. In China, they've put 60 million of these solar arrays up on people's roofs. Private enterprise, not the government. And that means that about 250 million Chinese, when they take a shower at night, are using water that was heated by the sun. We have virtually none of these. They work fine in our country. I actually have one on my house, but it's something like 0.25% of the U.S. population. Let's get going. Let's put them up. So you need the same guys who were, not swinging hammers now because nobody's building McMansions anymore. These are the guys with the skill set to do this work.
So, Bill, but you say put them up. Who's supposed to put them up? And if you're the president, what do you say? Do you say, I'm going to hire people to put this up in your houses?
Sure. There's a good start. Now, you'd have trouble getting it through Congress, but that's, we need to put people to work. We need to get green energy. That's a perfectly good way to stimulate the economy, which is what all the Keynesians are telling us we should be doing right now. Or you pass some kind of tax credit to make it much easier to do it. Or look, none of it's easy. The transition away to this stuff is not easy, but that's why we theoretically have leaders. They're supposed to be leading, not just standing around saying, can't do anything, sorry.
Bill, I got to be honest with you. In this case, the only leader I see there is you. So nicely done in putting this together. Keep going. The grassroots group is 350.org. Bill's last book is Earth, Making a Life on a Tough New Planet. They're putting this Keystone XL Pipeline protest together in front of the White House. Over 843 people are arrested already. They're definitely getting attention and making a point. And we really appreciate you coming on here to talk about it.
Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
All right, you too.
Thanks.